Hey, good morning everyone. We're back again. Another new project on the 59 here. Just getting started on making my tonneau cover for it. And I think I'm going to go into a little more detail on how I made the frame. I didn't do that when I did the one for the 65 Fargo swept line. So I'll just show you how I'm going about it and the materials I'm using. So it's pretty simple. Once I had a plan, so I've got some 1/8 flat by 1.5. In the previous video, I mentioned that it was 1 inch, but it's 1.5. And what I did was I cut the two pieces to length, got my lengths figured out. I want it to go just from the front edge of the box here to the back. I stacked the left and the right one together, and then I figured out where my holes go through for fastening it from the bottom, and I didn't want to run into any of my stake pockets here. So I've got the holes were pre-drilled in these two pieces. I drilled them and then I transferred those into the box, and I just opened the ones up in the box to one size over 1/4 of an inch to make it a little easier to start the bolts. The other side I'll just go over. This side I have bolted on. I have 1/4 inch rivet nuts in them. And the important thing about your rivet nuts is getting them placed dead center in your angle iron. And I'll show you that here in a second. And otherwise you can't get the bolt in. And on the Fargo, I welded my angle on first. Then I drilled the holes and put the rivet nuts in, and I ran into a bit of an issue because there isn't enough depth once the angle iron's on. So this time I got smart and I drilled it, put the rivet nuts in, or drilled it, transferred the holes, put the rivet nuts in. Now I can weld my angle on and everything will be hunky-dory here. So I'll just set up the tripod and I'll show you what I mean about the angle iron. Okay guys, I've got the angle iron set in place on top here, and when it gets welded on, it gets welded on flush with the outside edge, and it just sticks over just slightly on the inside edge. So here's what I meant about making sure you get the hole centered for your rivet nuts. See if I can get you, I'll just slide this angle forward, and you'll see the rivet nut comes up right in the center of the angle iron, gives you clearance for the bolt to go in. So I'm going to get the other side opened up for the rivet nuts. We'll get the rivet nuts put in the other side, and then I'll get set up to start welding the angle to the flats. Okay guys, we're just getting the rivet nuts put in. So I'm just using one of these cheap RZX tools off of Amazon. I bought the small one instead of the big long one for getting into tight spots. It came with up to 5/16 rivet nuts. I don't know that you could put a steel 5/16 rivet nut in with this one. There's just not enough leverage on it. I find the 1/4s are about max, and even they are pretty tough. So I'll just get this one put in. I like to keep the holes really tight. It makes the rivet nut grip a lot better. Take a little bit at a time with these big ones. Boy, it's hard on the arms. Move along, get the next one here. Next one put in here. Ooh. Okay, I'll carry on, get the rest of these in. Okay guys, we've got the first side done here. I've got the angle welded to the flat, and I just bolted it down. Ended up perfectly straight here for me. Now, there is a detail at the back end here where the tonneau cover comes down and transitions from coming over the edge to going over the end of the tailgate. You have to take the point of the angle down to a flat where your Velcro goes on here. So I'll just show you how I went about doing that. So I have the passenger side all set up here. I put weld through primer on the inside of it just so that I don't get any rust bleeding through. And I've just got one of my steel ramps here from my trailer that I'm using just to hold everything nice and straight while I'm welding it. So this is the angle, and what I've done is, this is the top side of the angle. This is the inside edge that sits down at a 45-degree angle. I came back 2 inches and I cut a crescent shape out of the bottom piece. Once I tack this on, then I can heat this up and I can bend this down and it'll form a really nice transition to the back side there. So this is just going to go on, even the ends all up, and I'll get it all tack welded in place here and then ground down, and then we can start working on the front section and the spreader bars. Okay, we've got this all tacked on all the way down the side, nice and straight. So we're just going to do the shape on this corner here. Just get my torch going. You can shape this without the torch, but I find it just goes a lot smoother. I'm just going to heat the outer piece up. Okay, now I can just weld that up and we're good to go. We've got the nice transition here for our Velcro for the top to go on. Okay everyone, we're back working on this tonneau cover framework. I'll show you what I have done. So I'm working on the front cross spreader bar here that bolts the front of it down. It also captures the front of the material. The material will get wrapped from here underneath and then around the back, and it'll be tech screwed to the front of this when we go for the final install. So I've got these tack welded here now. I'll show you the detail here when I take this apart. I have a short piece of 3/4 inch tubing, then my long piece that goes across. Inside here I have a piece of round stock that fits real snug on the inside of this. It's about 3.5 inches long. It sticks into this one and it's plug welded, and then it's inside this one and I drilled through it, and I will use countersunk head 1/4 inch machine screws to bolt this down. There will be 4 across the front here. I'm just working on the center bars. They're going to have a bit of an arch in them just to make the water run off, and I'm working on those right now. I'm using the hoist as my bender, and I've got a 4x4 underneath the ends on both ends, and then in the center I put some aluminum right on the center line just so that I don't end up with a kink in the center, and I'm just letting the hoist sit on that and put the amount of bend in that I want. So once that's done, then I can trim them to fit, and I'll show you the receptacles I'm going to make that weld to the side rails so that those are removable. Whoa, sorry about that. Okay, so I got the front bar up there with the proper bend in it. I used a square and I transferred a mark from the inside edge of the 45 straight up onto the tubing. And then I went from the outside edge here and I figured out with my adjustable square here, transfer this angle to the curved angle of the top bar so that I can cut this out, and then I'll make those 1-inch tubing receivers that'll weld to here, and then there'll just be a bolt or a quick pin that goes through there to hold the crossbars in. I'll show you that once we get moving here. Okay everyone, so we've got these 2 center bars, the brackets made. So what I've done is I cut these ones, the cross pieces, to the correct angle for here, accounting for the rise. Then I took 4 pieces of 1-inch square tubing, this is 3/4, and I cut them to the proper angle, and then I cut the top off of them. I drilled them together, the 2 pieces, and I've tacked them in. Once I remove everything from the sides, I can finish welding these up. And to remove the bars, you just pull these. I'll have little quick pins on here that have a lock on them, and so the center bars will be removable. I've got all 4 corners done on that. I got the 2 last holes drilled at the front here so I can put my rivet nuts in to the front of the box. So now this can all come apart. I can finish welding everything, get it all sanded, get a good coat of primer on it, and then some black paint, and I'll be ready for sewing. So once I get this all removed here, I'll show you the detail on how I did the front here to make this 3 pieces, and we can go from there. Okay, we got all of the components finished. Everything's welded up. I've got it ground down, sanded. So this is the style clip I was talking about using to hold the cross rails in. Just a normal universal 1/4-inch pin. And then the detail on the end here, or at the front for the cross piece, this is the stub that I welded on. It's got the solid steel dowel that goes in. And then the, see if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. Just a sec. Oh. And the piece goes in like that, and then I use a 45-degree head screw. It needs a little bit of a push to get it in there. That'll go down, and it sits flush with the top here. So next thing I'm going to do is get some primer on these, and then a couple coats of gloss black paint. Okay everyone, I got the framework is all done for the tonneau cover. I got a good coat of primer and 2 coats of gloss black on it. As you can see, the spreader bars got a slight curve in the tops of them. The way across, I got the last 2 holes drilled, countersunk, and the rivet nuts put in the front of the bed. And now it's ready for Velcro on the sides. That's that good 3M stuff. And then get some sewing done, and the tonneau cover will be done. So I'm going to call that good there. That'll be the 59 GMC tonneau cover part 1, and part 2 will be once we get into sewing the material and getting that part of it all done. So anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the subscriptions, all the great comments and everything. I really appreciate it, guys. Take care. Have a great weekend.